That was pretty good. Thanks, y'all. I just, right there. So, what's that? Oh, this is what I love about New England. They can just yell stuff out. They don't even, just like, hey, another thing you need to think about. One of the things that of you being surrounded by a great crowd of witnesses is that they know that Titus is in heaven with Jesus, and when you get to see Titus again in the light of eternity, this time here without Titus, it's going to seem like this. But these are the folks that want to walk with you until that time, and I'm grateful that you and honored that you let me be a part of this tonight. So thank you. And I know for me, I wouldn't be here without the cloud of witnesses that I've had in my lifetime. And I talked to some people before the show, and I was telling them my story. But when I first came to Nashville, I didn't know anybody, and I moved in next to a couple. They were 85 years old, Henry and Liz. And have you ever seen Hee Haw on television? Liz grew up with Minnie Pearl off of Hee Haw. It's really true, and they were best friends, and so it was like moving in next to Hee Haw. And the first night I went over there because they invited me over for dinner. It was everything fried, and I was sitting at the dinner table with them, and I'd never met them before. And Henry said, "Hey, did I ever tell you about my first date with Liz?" And I was like, "No, because I don't even know you people." He said, "Yeah, well, I went to her house to pick her up, and her dad met me at the door and said, 'Son, this is my only daughter. I want you to make sure you walk her to the movies and you walk her home and promise me you never leave her side.'" And I love that story, but Henry told it to me every single night for 9 months when they met me. I was like, if I ever write you a song, it's got to be called "Walk Her Home," because that's the only story that Henry remembers. So Liz would always fix whatever food, and she would cut it up in squares before I would sit down. I was 24 years old. I'm sure I could cut that myself, but she would just cut that for me. So I was working on this song. Well, a few years later, I still didn't have the song done, and I called them and I said, "It's almost done." And they said, "Good, because we're in the nursing home." And,
oh, wow.
They said, "Come play it for us." So I go to the nursing home and play them a little bit of this song, first verse and chorus, and they really liked it. And I said, "It's not finished yet." I said, "That's okay." And Henry puts his arm out, and Liz gets in there, and they walk like a quarter mile an hour back to their room, you know? And I was laughing because I was like, you just finished lunch, but by the time you make a U-turn, you're going to have to come back for dinner. You're going to get to your room before you have to come back for dinner again. And but as I was watching Henry walk Liz down the hall, I was like, oh my gosh, Henry, you just finished my song for me. Because I realized when he promised her he was going to walk her home and never leave her side, he wasn't talking about just in the movies. And so I thought, Henry, this song's for you. And one of my favorite things about Henry and Liz is what I loved when I was in Nashville going nowhere fast, Liz put the telephone on the table after about 6 months, and she said, "You need to call your parents." And I said, "What for?" And she said, "Well, Henry and I were thinking, if we ever had a son who was out in the world trying to make it today, we want somebody to look out after him. So you need to call your parents and tell them they've got nothing to worry about because you just got adopted by Henry and Liz." That's what a cloud of witnesses is, and that's what a cloud of witnesses does, and this is my song. Looking back, he sees it all. It was her first date the night he came to call. And her dad said, "Son, have her home on time. And promise me you'll never leave her side." He took her to a show in town, and he was 10 feet off the ground. He was walking her home and holding her hand. Oh, the way she smiled and stole the breath right out of her head. Down that old road with the stars up above, he remembers where he was the night he fell in love. He was walking her home. 10 more years in a waiting room at 1:30. It's when the doctor said, "Come in and meet your son." And his knees went weak when he saw his wife. She was smiling and she said, "He's got your eyes."
85 in the